Meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we do have some announcements this evening. The Finance Committee is holding a public hearing tomorrow to allow public discussion of the proposed operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2024. As presented by the town administrator. The meeting will begin at 7 p.m. here in Conference Room A of the Municipal Center. Remote participation via Zoom will also be available using the link on the January 18th, 2023 Finance Committee agenda. The Select Board will be holding a public outreach meeting with representatives from the Grafton-Upton Railroad this Thursday, January 19th. The meeting will begin at 7 p.m. in the community room of the Grafton Public Library and will provide an opportunity for the public comment and discussion. Applications will be accepted until 4:30 this Thursday, January 19th, to fill vacancies on the Board of Assessors and the Community Preservation Committee. Visit our website at grafton-ma.gov to learn more. If you are interested in serving on the board or committee, you may apply via email to taoffice@grafton-ma.gov or by using our online portal or by sending a letter of interest to the Select Board at the Grafton Municipal Center, 30 Providence Road, Grafton, Mass. 01519. The Select Board will hold an outreach meeting on Tuesday, January 24th to discuss the Regional Emergency Communications Center and consider signing an intermunicipal agreement. The meeting will begin at 7 p.m. in the Community Room A of the Grafton Public Library. There are no public hearings tonight and there are no Select Board appointments, so we'll go right into Town Administrator appointments. And we have George for the Board of Assessors Assistant.
I move the board vote to affirm the appointment of George Rowlandson to the position of Data Collector, Assessor's Office.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. And now we have a one-day beer and wine license for Apple Tree Arts, and I believe we have a representative possibly on Zoom right here. Hi.
Hello.
What's your name?
My name is Brandon Lewis. I'm the business director of Apple Tree Arts. Took over in October since Kathy retired, so very exciting.
Nice to meet you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your event?
Sure. So I think we should have submitted applications for two separate events. One should have been for our Claflin Hill concert. We do a series of those throughout the year, and we just choose to sell beer and wine at kind of like intermission and at the end. So that should be one application that was received. And second one was for a new event that we're trying to put on called Comedy is Good for the Heart. We are partnering with Tommy Dwyer, a comedian in Worcester County, trying to get a couple comedians to come in and have a nice fun night of comedy and have some light refreshments and some beer and wine served.
Very nice. Does the board have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I can take a motion.
I move the board vote to approve one-day beer and wine licenses for Apple Tree Arts for January 28th and February 9th, 2023.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Congratulations, and I hope your events are a great success.
Thank you so much.
Waiting for me and I was waiting for you.
Up next, we have our town planner, Fiona Coughlin, and she's going to do the next two agenda items, starting with the MBTA Community Action Plan. Hi, Fiona.
Hello, members of the board. How are you? Thanks for having me again, second time in a row. So I was just going to give a brief overview, basically, of the status of the MBTA Communities Action Plan, where we're at, and then we can go from there. I'll go into the second item. But essentially, we took the draft action plan to the Planning Board on January 9th, which were the board voted to approve the draft plan at that time for submission to DHCD for MBTA Communities interim compliance. So from there, the action plan isn't a, the action plan isn't a definite outline of what's going to happen, but it's evaluating all the potential scenarios as we comply with the new zoning requirements under Section 3A of Master General Laws, Chapter 40A. So essentially, we are looking at a variety of different scenarios here for submission online by the January 31st deadline. Compliance with this deadline is critical, as it is. It's in order, if we are non-compliant, essentially we could jeopardize some funding sources, including MassWorks Housing Choice and Local Capital Projects Fund money, which is a big source of funds for the local housing authority. So ultimately, just requesting to that the board, if you have any questions for me about the content in the action plan, I'm happy to answer it. But ultimately, just want to confirm that, anything that's outstanding, finalize any questions for submission, essentially this week, if we can.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Does the board have any questions or comments for Fiona?
Nope.
All right, well, hearing none, I can take a motion.
I move the board vote to approve the action plan for MBTA communities.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. And up next is the 2022 Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Yes. So the hazard mitigation plan is a project that is basically wrapping up. I'm just finalizing some last minute things. But in order to submit the plan to FEMA for final approval, we do need to get the board's approval on the plan itself and basically adopt it. The plan was essentially finalized by the time I got there, as I mentioned. So this is just kind of the last step to get everything wrapped up, and then we submit our reimbursement requests and go from there. And then we can, start working to implement that hazard mitigation plan, which VHB did a wonderful job with. So I presented the draft, and then within the draft of the hazard mitigation plan, there is a resolution that must be submitted, which I attached as well, basically outlining, final agreement and hopefully ultimate adoption. So again, happy to answer any questions about that, but essentially it is just kind of the final stage of this project, and the final kind of compliance piece that we need to just submit to them when and if we can. So
Great.
happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Fiona?
I had a couple minor ones. Feel like they're more clerical than anything. On page, can we share this just for the ease of everybody, please?
Yes.
Okay, if you can jump ahead to page 33. Up.
Which one, like 13?
33.
Yeah.
No. Sorry, in the packet page 33.
Oh. I apologize.
No, I thought it was 33 in there. Andy was not clear.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Very convenient.
So under government, second sentence, the elected town administrator appointed by the select board is for a range. Should we
Yes.
amend that to remove elected?
Yep. Absolutely.
I didn't know how everybody else would feel about this, but same page under land use patterns, pulled from the 2001 comprehensive plan. It looks like the quote, the town center developed where Indian trails and later the colonial stagecoach routes crossed. I was wondering if it'd be appropriate to update that to be something like Trails of Indigenous Peoples, rather than leaving that there. And if we could jump to packet page 103, please. Under the select board, there's a line that reads, second sentence, the board consists of 5 members who serve without compensation.
They are compensated meagerly.
Yes.
Okay, absolutely. Can make those adjustments.
I'm happy to email those over or, CC everybody and just make it easier for you to find them too.
Sure, yes, that would be great. I'll connect with VHB to make sure that they turn those around quickly.
Can we still vote on it tonight and just sign it
Yep.
next week? Okay.
Absolutely.
Nice catches. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, I can take a motion.
Okay, so read the motion and then the and now therefore section.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. I move the board vote to approve and sign the resolution of the Select Board of the Town of Grafton authorizing the adoption of the 2022 Grafton Hazard Mitigation Plan as amended.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any discussion?
I still gotta- I gotta-
with his motion.
Yeah, I gotta read the long part now.
I thought it was a motion.
Sorry.
I apologize.
There was a pause in there. I'm sorry.
I get excited. Don't be sorry.
Now therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Grafton 1. Adopts in its entirety the 2022 Grafton Hazard Mitigation Plan update, hereinto referred to as the plan, as the jurisdiction's natural hazard mitigation plan, and resolves to execute the actions identified in the plan that pertain to this jurisdiction. 2. Will use the adopted and approved portions of the plan to guide pre- and post-disaster mitigation of the hazards identified. 3. Will coordinate the strategies identified in the plan with other planning programs and mechanisms under its jurisdictional authority. 4. Will continue its support of the Hazard Mitigation Committee as described within the plan. 5. Will help promote and support the mitigation successes of all participants in this plan. 6. Will incorporate mitigation planning as an integral component of government and partner operations. 7. Will provide an update of the plan every 5 years. Passed and adopted January 17th, 2023.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Very nice. All right, well, thank you very much for coming in. You can hang out if you want or whatever you want to do.
Wonderful. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you, Fiona.
Up next is the Silver Lake land acquisition. This is the Robinson property that we voted at town meeting to purchase with CPC funds. Evan's going to give us a little update on that.
Yep. So just to be clear, as we discussed this, the board does not need to vote on an action. I just need to get a general sense of the board's level of comfort. So in reviewing the title and deed for these properties, we looked for title insurance. So that's something that you take out when you're in the middle of purchase, and it protects you should there be an heir or somebody that comes out of the woodwork. So in review, that there is no way that we can be insured without something in the record clarifying the identity of all heirs of John Dunn, who owned the property over 140 years ago. It appears that when Mr. Dunn died, he had 2 sons, but there is no definitive proof that he had no other heirs. And so basically we're just looking to take the board's temperature on whether or not it still wants to move forward with the sale or with the purchase, given that there could be a heir out there. However, both the title attorney and town council feel that that's an extremely low amount of risk for the board to be shouldering for a number of reasons. One, it's 140 years old and no one's come forward yet. Two, the landowner that we're buying it from has held one parcel from 1941 and the other parcel from 1959. If there was a lost heir, their maximum claim would be as the heir of a tenant in common, not as the owner of the property, which again, another layer of risk reduction. And then should someone emerge with a claim, the town has the ability to conduct a taking of the heir's interest in award, which seems to be very minimal, as they are entitled to a fair compensation, which would be their fractional share of the fair value that we purchased this for, or some settlement thereof. The seller's counsel has offered as additional protection to provide an affidavit of the owner setting forth the sworn testimony that during his ownership there have been no parties who have claimed or tried to establish title. So if the board is comfortable, then we'll move forward with the execution of the sale. And if you're not, then, I think we're not going to be able to move forward. But in my opinion, as with both of our attorneys, it seems, while this is a hiccup, it's pretty low risk to the town of Grafton.
All right.
Any questions or concerns?
I feel very comfortable moving forward.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's something we needed to discuss, but I don't have any great sense of concern. Okay.
How does everybody else feel?
Yeah,
Good?
no problem at all.
Yeah, so happy to
Just
follow
reading it
council's
as you were talking.
advice.
I do have one question though. How does one prove that they didn't have any other heirs?
I have no idea.
I know, like,
I would suspect that there's no record of the sons having any children, but that could be for a number of reasons 140 years ago, right? I mean, recording, moving, there's a whole bunch of different factors. So I think that there's just nothing that shows that they, died without. I think there's a gap in the record.
Gotcha.
That's essentially what's happening there.
okay. All right. Well, if everybody feels comfortable, Amory, you feel comfortable? Okay, great. We're going to take the next item out of order in hopes that they're able to join us. They just happen to be at another meeting right now. So we'll skip ahead to the home heating assistance program update, also from Evan.
Yep. So everyone involved in this project has been working really hard to finalize the criteria, which is more complex than you might think. And so we've divided it into seniors 60 and older, family members within the household as long as their applicant is a senior, but then also those under 60 with significant need may also be considered. That's language that we've gotten from elsewhere. They would apply. We would help them go for other types of assistance first. This is the last resort. They would complete an application. They have to show us their 1090 and all current incomes. Eligibility is based on $10,000 over 60% of estimated state median income. It's one-time assistance per household of 100 gallons. And we would obviously give ourselves some latitude if there's an extenuating circumstance that we need to try to address. And the applicants go through the senior center outreach coordinator or the COA director.
So, Madam Chair, so what do we do with people who have gas and have electric heat?
Same.
So 100 gallons would be
Whatever,
that
right?
number is?
We'd figure out an equivalency. Yep.
Okay.
The outreach coordinator, Lisa Kelly, when I had talked to her before, that was one of her most salient points, was that she wanted to be able to make sure that we're capturing not just oil, but natural gas, propane, pellets.
Yep.
Something that we can provide that emergency assistance, but it's really just emergency assistance.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and that helps us make that money go farther. So, both Lisa Kelly and Shannon, our COA director, have done a great job of researching how to put something like this together that's not just for seniors. And there's really hardly anybody else doing it this way. you know, Grafton's a little bit of an outlier that way, so we have to vet some certain things. So,
Leader.
yes, we're the leader in this area. So, I would suspect that we're up and running, with this on Monday.
Great.
Okay. A little bit behind where we wanted to be. Honestly, we were looking for the first, but like I said, there was some significant questions of how to do this properly. And if we do this again, now we have a template to go from.
So I have a question. I've never had an oil tank. Is 100 gallons? What does that buy them? Like a week, 2 weeks, a day?
Well, it depends on the,
Depends on the house size, what you keep your thermostat at. I'll give you, my house is 250 gallon tank, and I get a fill like every 2 months when it's real cold.
Okay, so it's like a half a tank if it's a 250 gallon tank.
Be a little less, yes.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
all right.
Most houses are 250 gallon. That's, I think, your standard.
Okay,
So it's enough that you get your heat turned back on while you figure out
What you
your next step.
right.
Yeah.
awesome. Does the board have any other questions or comments?
I just want to say thanks for bringing this up, Ray.
Oh, no
It's a really important program, and I think it's a tremendous benefit to people in need. It's a difficult time of year for a lot of people.
Mhm.
I know the state assistance typically runs out. You know, people are having to religiously watch their thermostat to make that last as long as possible, and it's a real hardship for some people. So this is great. Thanks.
There are tons of programs out there, but if we can help just a little bit with somebody who, you know, whatever, a resident and, you know.
Well, I will say
It's
that the way that Shannon and Lisa have worked on this to give us flexibility within there, within the program is probably going to be the key here, because there's a lot of people that fall into these little niches where they're not poor enough.
Yep.
Right.
They're not having an urgent enough situation. You know, there's a lot of different things. They're 59 instead of 60. I mean, there's all these different little hitches. And we have some flexibility here since we're running the program to help people kind of navigate in and get those people that are going to fall through the cracks some assistance.
It's I think a great way to help fill some of those gaps, and I think an excellent way for Grafton to spend some funds for people that really deserve it.
Can I ask about the one-time assistance?
Yes.
Is there a reason why is it one time ever or one time a year, one time every
It's
2 years?
one time between November 1st and April 30th. That's fairly consistent about how these type of programs work. And the reason you do that is because, again, this is an emergency assistance. It's not, you need to get through the whole winter. We'll run out of funds, you know,
Yeah.
in 2 days.
Right.
So this is really to try to get that part of the population that's really struggling and, you know, kick the can a little bit down the road. And also, one of the benefits to having a program like this, and I've seen this in other communities as well, is that you make contact with folks that you're not normally making contact with.
Yeah.
And then you can help them access other things
There you go.
that then take some of the other pressures off, which then frees up money. You know, it's just making contact with people and getting them, you know, used to the fact that we're not here just to levy taxes. We're here to assist you when you need it, if we can. So I think that's an important part too that can't be overlooked.
And we're paying the vendors direct.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep. All of it's vendor direct.
Yeah, so you figure 100 gallons of oil is gonna cost you almost $600.
Right.
You know, that's a lot.
It's
You know.
crazy money right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nuts. So, good.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thanks for that update. And then that'll be all over the webpage,
Well,
social
yeah.
media, and
Yep.
push it out to get. Okay, great.
Yes, it will.
Feedback from the bylaw study committee. Did you lead that up?
You guys got any?
I went through the bylaws that you sent, Andy, and I, you know, I did it today and I really tried. Nothing.
Okay.
So I sent you my feedback. You got that right?
Yep.
That's
Okay.
what I'm going to be able to do.
That's all right. You're good.
So,
some
and
brief
Evan,
feedback.
did you send, I know he sent notes to you guys,
Yep.
but were we able to make hide nor hair out of them?
Yep.
Okay, so my first ones were kind of that, like, it was just asking about some of these things, do they still exist? That was like in Article 1. I wondered about Article 12, Section 12, I think it is, adding like the town, it was about no bills and posters without consent of someone or other. I can email this to you. Just wondered about the common. That's been kind of an ongoing thing. People talking about signs up there, and is that more of a distraction causing more accidents as people are reading these signs? And I think we already brought this up, or I think maybe this was part of my original email, was the bound book relative to the select board. It's like
right,
Article
Yeah, that hasn't been
5,
used
Section
for
7.
30
And
years.
then I'm down to, I have two more.
Awesome.
Then I'll email this to you later, and then I'll read those last two.
Sounds good. Mr. Chair, you all right with that?
I know, I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
Tell us anything and everything.
There's no excuse, but I haven't
Well,
done anything since the beginning of the year.
Take it all down, make a note of it, and decide what to do with it.
Excellent.
Yeah, feedback. We're hardly the only board or committee that we've hasn't gotten us completed feedback or anything yet, and now we have that wrangled. So
I mean, it's such exciting reading. I'm not sure
Isn't
why
it, though?
everyone isn't
I
on
know.
it, but I haven't tried.
Wait till you see what everybody else has come up with.
Well, excellent. All right. Does anybody have anything else about this? Nope. All right, great. Moving on to land acknowledgement. I know Andy and Matt were doing work on that. I don't know who wants to lead that off. Okay, Andy. Alphabetical order.
yeah, sure. I have materials that I received from the tribal council. They sent along a few links that I can forward to the rest of the committee as kind of thought starter materials and things like that. We'd thrown out the idea of discussing it further at the goals meeting last week, but we pushed it off to this week. It's probably something good that we all start thinking about soon, so we can get ahead of this in time for Springtown meeting and get it all ironed out by then. But I also figured it would be good to discuss with you how you envision this whole thing going. Do we would you prefer for each member to try and do a draft, bring notes so that we do it collaboratively in session? What's the, I guess, ideal scenario?
My answer to that changed about 30 seconds before this meeting started. And that's because I was out in the hallway outside of the town administrator's office. There's this glassed-in display case that has a proclamation from the Nipmuc Nation from 2004 out there, and it kind of captures a lot of what we were trying to do with the land acknowledgement, and the fact that it was from the Nipmuc Nation and it's signed. I think that this works, or is a very strong jump off point to start with. And I would feel very comfortable having this be what we read at the beginning of Springtown meeting and do that. But I don't know how everybody else feels. I know not everybody's had an opportunity to read it. And I keep pointing down, this is what I found in the display case, which nobody at home can read, but if you want to pass it down, people read it, or thoughts on that, or I can take a picture and email it to everybody, and everybody can, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. If I'm going to be emailing materials anyways, if you want, I can grab a picture of it, include it with, and then we can mull it over in between meetings and bring it up on a future agenda.
Okay. Yeah, any other?
That's fine with me. I mean, we already have one. As long as everybody's happy with it. I'm not sure how long it's been sitting there, so.
So I don't know how
2004,
recent
I think.
land acknowledgements have been a thing. So this could be, the precursor to what a land acknowledgement, in 2004 looked like. Obviously, it might not be what a land acknowledgement in 2023 would look like. And if we feel comfortable continuing going forward with what's already been adopted, I'm okay with that. I don't think we need to.
Yeah.
Reading through this quickly, I think it's a good starting point. My immediate feeling is, I don't know if we want to, if it's splitting hairs or whatnot, is definitely that this reads as a proclamation, whereas the other, what we're going for, I feel like is the acknowledgement is blanking on a good word. It's more of a paragraph. It's more of a reading, a little less formal than what's, drafted here. And from what I heard on our call that day, maybe needs a little more personality. But I think there's some good wording in here to at least start with and consider.
Yeah, I'd be happy to use this as the basis for some of the language.
Yeah.
I think what we talked about is we wanted to make it ours. We did want to personalize it a little bit. And, the other thing that I picked up on when we discussed this in our last meeting when we had some folks in for some advice was to make it a little bit more action oriented. Like what are we actually going to do? So I'd like to have the board just think about that a little bit. And but I'm happy to use that as the basis for, some of the language at the beginning, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because it seems like there's like a historical element of it. Here's what happened. Let's acknowledge what happened, and the fact that these were indigenous people's lands that the town is in right now. That we're and then there's another element of it, which is we're going to partner with the Nipmugs to be good stewards of the land going forward and that sort of stuff. And I'm not seeing that second part in here. So I guess just broadly, that's my thinking. But yeah, I think this is really useful.
I feel like we've had this conversation now enough times though, where we should start, the next time there'll be a draft in front of us for consideration. So how does the board want to do that? Does everybody want to take their thoughts and then we can send them all to William and William can put them all together and just for the packet and then we can all, what I mean? How do we want to execute this? And what's the deadline to get it all to William and things like that?
Great question.
So February 7th is the next kind of meeting like this we'll have. I think that seems like not enough time.
I would request you do at least the second or third date in February.
Okay. So what's that, the 14th or the 21st?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have William busy or is our dance card filling up?
We have a backlog of things that we're rapidly growing because we're trying to get the budget done for tomorrow and everything else. So
Just curious.
So get your vision to William by February 7th.
And, he has
And then
time
it'll
to
be
work on
a
it
week
before
or
the
two
meeting.
after that. It'll be on one of those chit
that would be reasonable. Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. So everybody knows what's going forward, February 7th. Done.
Can we?
No.
I just want to try to make it as productive as possible. Once that's all compiled,
Right.
can we either get that put in the packet, or it'd be good for us to all see that before we show up? Because I'm with you. We got to do something.
Yeah.
Material on this so that we can. Because we've had this discussion quite a bit.
Right. And I know when we were doing interview questions for the fire chief, let's say we all sent our questions to Evan and Evan compiled it into a document. And I imagine a lot of our suggestions will look similar. I feel very comfortable with William taking all of our suggestions and compiling a vision for us to put in the packet. But if everybody wants to see each individual's version, that works too.
I'm happy with that too. So yeah, Evan pulled out all the themes and sort of deduped it almost. If people had the same idea, we didn't need to look at everybody's similar ideas. So
Right.
I would be super happy with that.
William, good. You good with that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Perfect. All right. Okay. So, did you get a text message from anybody yet, or?
No,
Great.
I told them that if we're coming to the end of the meeting, I'm just gonna text you and say we're gonna put you on the next meeting.
Well, tell them we're coming close to the end of the meeting. You can text them
Well,
right now.
don't tell me what to do.
Spicy. Well, we'll go to select board reports. 'Cause I'm sure you don't have any, so you can start texting if you'd like.
Oh,
Jeez.
Do you have any?
getting salty.
No, damn it.
Oh, swearing. No, you didn't. All right. Does anybody have any select board reports?
I do.
Excellent. So we'll lead over here.
So as we previously touched on bylaw review, at our last meeting, we divvied up the remaining articles to committee members that hadn't been previously assigned. And I don't have to remind you to get the edits as I thought I might. So we'll move on to library building and planning. We're waiting on the final change order from CTA for the community room barn doors, which they are going to reduce for us by about $2,000 bucks. Although fabrication and installation will take a few weeks from when the committee approves the change order, which we expect to do at our February meeting. We also discussed the updates to the green roof that were discussed at the select board's previous meeting, and they came back with numbers, and we are still roughly 90,000 under budget. So
Great.
Yep.
Any other select board reports?
The Affordable Housing Trust met. We had some discussion about the GSX partnership that we've been exploring. There was some concerns about, there was an idea of collateralizing the land as a risk mitigation if this project goes sideways. So we had our lawyer and to kind of discuss that. And that's going to have to be brought up at another meeting because there was some concern in the trust about the risk that if a project went sideways, what would happen with the funds that we had committed already. So that was moved out. And I guess the other main thing that we talked about was just moving forward with the MHP RFP for developing 25 Worcester Street. So we're moving forward with that. I think that's about it for Housing Trust.
CIPC met and reviewed the final capital plan with Evan, which everybody will see again tomorrow night at the FinCom meeting. And we're going to be meeting again in a few weeks to review our bylaw so that we can get some feedback to the committee as well.
Not so much a report as Matt and I were working with the library on the next, what are you guys calling that? AMA?
Ask me anything.
I always think it's like without, no, what is it? AMA?
AMA, yep.
Yeah. Never mind. It's like a medical thing that is in my head when you guys say that. So February the 16th we have as a tentative date.
Yep.
It's a Thursday. And what were the times that you did it last time? Was it 7 to 9 or 6 to 8 or?
Yeah, we started at 7. Everybody's kind of used to a
Okay.
7 o'clock start.
So we'll either do the 7 to 9 or the library closes at 9, so 6:45 to 8:45. I think that we sent an email relative to that, but just figured I'd throw it out there as pretty much firmed that up, I suppose, right, Matt?
Yep. So all are welcome.
Yep,
The
I think
16th, you said?
16th of February. It's a
following
Thursday.
with all the back and forth, was Amber actually able to,
Yep, the
Reserve.
Tai Chi ladies have been,
Removed.
everybody's been reorganized, so it's
Oh.
all going to work out nicely.
I didn't think that was necessary.
Oh,
no one asked,
Sorry?
no one asked if it was available
The library?
for February 16th.
Oh, I did. I have communication with Beth, and they have
Okay.
half of the room, and we could have had the other half of the room.
Oh.
And given the numbers that we
Okay.
anticipate, there should
There
be
was a lot of back and
That's
forth.
not the answer we got, but that's okay.
Really.
Yeah, it's fine, it's all worked
And
out.
actually-
everybody has a space and everybody seems to be happy, which
Okay.
is the most important part.
Yeah.
But just to clarify that we were all set without anyone having to move. And actually, in fact, I'd mentioned to Matt, I thought it would be a little more, less formal and maybe better even up front instead of down there. But we could have totally divided that
Move
room.
somewhere else.
No problem. No,
Yeah.
we were gonna divide it, yeah.
was the last one 2 hours, or was it just an hour?
It was like 6. Hang out with Ray's a really long time. No, it was.
I thought it went very well.
It did go very well. It was pretty well attended too. It was
Well-
probably about a dozen people, and it went for about.
I thought it went
2
very well.
hours.
There was a little history lesson in
You were the
there.
star of the show. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. No, it was a really good time, and I think you guys are gonna have a blast doing it as well.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And then we'll push that out on social media and on the website as it gets a little closer. We just don't want it to get lost in all of the other things we're doing right now as well. All right, town administrator report.
So we're just really focused on the budget. We've got to deliver it tomorrow. And this early in the process, every day is a new challenge. So we are compiling the data. We'll be done by 3 or 4 tomorrow with what we're going to bring forward, and I anticipate there'll be some
AM or PM?
probably both of those. No, we're working on it pretty hard. It's just the nature of the beast this early, getting comfortable with where we think we are, and we haven't had vigorous debate over certain things of whether or not we even want to see it move forward. Some of these proposals that we have in there, which I think because our relationship with the finance committee is so good that I think that's okay, and we can have that dialogue with them as we work.
So you think you can use them as a bit of a sounding board?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's how it worked in our last budget process. I mean,
Yep.
there are towns that have their budgets due this time of year or earlier and lock it down. I find those towns have to be more conservative and maybe a little less creative because they don't have the flexibility to have those conversations and say, like we did last year when we added the assistant planner position, right? That all came out of, we had a different proposal. Finance committee wasn't super thrilled with that. We talked about it. We talked about needs and wants, and we talked about all these other things and came up with a different proposal. I think that's perfect. Personally, I think that's how it should go. So, I think you get a lot more buy-in at the end of the day than just saying, here's the budget, like it or not.
Right.
So we are rapidly approaching tomorrow night. So we'll have something. The only thing that has thrown a little curveball for whatever reason is we're so early that our demographics haven't changed. And so I usually do median income and blah, 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 blah. But those don't typically they're just not updated yet. So that's exactly the same as last year, which is fairly worthless in this case. So I'm going to just change up how we do our budget presentation a little bit and drop a lot of that out because you can Google that if you're interested in that. The rest of it we'll just plow forward. So other than that, we're working on it. And that was pretty much all we've done since last Tuesday. I mean, we did a lot of other things, but you know what I mean? That's been our prime focus.
Perfect. All right. Any questions? No? Okay. Anybody have any comments about correspondence? All right. Moving right along to resignation.
I move the board vote to acknowledge and accept the resignation of Joanne Duncan as the assistant to the Community Preservation Committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Just send her a letter of thanks as well.
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. And we also have public comment right now. Anybody on Zoom for public comment?
Yep, we do have one hand,
Oh, wow. Excellent.
and Nancy should be able to speak.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could tell me the topic of tonight's executive session.
Sure. It is review of contract negotiations with GMEA.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other hands up?
Nope.
Okay. And we have a set of meeting minutes we can approve.
I move that the board vote to approve the meeting minutes for January 3, 2023 as written.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. All right. Final call for Snow Road.
No, I sent him a message.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll bring Snow Road back on February 7th or 14th, whatever they're available. And we are going to go into executive session and we'll come back into regular session just to adjourn. Can I take a motion pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3 to discuss strategies with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on bargaining or litigation position of the public body and the chair so declares.
So moved.
Second.
And by roll call.
Vote. Need I.
Often I.
Roy, aye.
Jefferson, I.
Fully aye.
Okay.
Madam Chair, did you say not to return to open session?
Well, to return to open session, to adjourn.
Okay.
Did I do that wrong?
Nope.
Yeah, only to adjourn.
Okay.
Great. And pass the budget. No, just to adjourn. All right. So we are in executive session.